Sorcerers! Josh here. It's time to upgrade the Earth Precon. Before we dive in though, quick reminder of my rules. We are going to be spending $25, which must include shipping but not sales tax. We're going to use prices off a TCG player in order to get to that $25. In addition, I am not allowed to change out the avatar. Now, for the Earth pre-constructed deck, that is a bit problematic. The Geomancer was a bright and shining star, and it burned out very quickly once we had the major change of moving from 40-20 to 50-30 for deck size. So, upgrading this particular Precon was a bit of a challenge, but I did make a decision, and we're going to go with a Roots of Yggdrasil deck. I know many of you are going to say that's silly, you shouldn't do that. It's not nearly as good as it was because of the increase from 40-20 to 50-30, but the deck will still function. Yes, it's not as consistent because of all those additional cards, but I think it's still a fine deck for someone to learn with. I think that it is somewhat semi-competitive. You're going to win some games with this. It's going to go off occasionally. It's going to work out for you. So I think it's worthwhile to actually make this upgrade and go this route and build the classic Geomancer Roots deck at 50-30 with a $25 budget. Now, one final reminder before I dive in and go into the sections, I'm not going to cover every single card. The full deck can be found at the link in the description of this video. You will find it there. Also, I want to thank, I don't think Jake posted it himself, but Jake Connor, your Gen Con championship deck that won the entire event, the entire main event at Gen Con, was the basis for this upgrade. So thank you for playing that deck, and thank you to whoever posted that. That might be Ira. I bet Ira did that, or someone affiliated with Ira. So thank whoever posted the deck and got it up there for me to use. And thank you, Jake, for playing this. And obviously you won Gen Con with it, so it must have done something right. So let's see if getting it to 50-30 with $25 will make it worthwhile for someone to play and learn the game with. So where are we going to go with the spellbook for the Earth Precon? Well, the problem is, because we are going to build a deck that's focused around using Roots of Yggdrasil as a reset so that you can quickly win the game after you perform the reset, a lot of our money is going into the Atlas, which means we do not have a lot of money for the spellbook. But the goal of improving these decks has always been about improving consistency. And we can do that. We can do that with even a smaller amount of money on the spellbook side than we would have, because we've got to put so much into the Atlas side. The other good news is, in the Earth Precon, it is missing a lot of cheap key cards that any deck that has Earth in it run. So we do have a lot of things that we can drop in to really improve this deck, and that's really the focus. So let's just kind of start with some of the highlights. First off, artifacts. Yeah, I know, we're going to start with artifacts, not Earth cards. Artifacts, I put in 3 Tor's Hammer Trinket. I think everyone can say Tor's Hammer is a perfect, well, it's not a perfect card. It's a fantastic card. It's a staple in most decks now. So I put 3 in, seemed very reasonable. It wasn't super expensive. Dropped 3 Tor's Hammer in. The Earth Precon was also missing what is arguably one of the best minions in all of Sorcery, Root Spiders. Dropped in 3 Root Spiders. It's basically a no-brainer to include Root Spiders in an Earth deck. There are Earth decks not including them now, but it's still a very, very good card. So 3 Root Spiders went into the deck. In addition, really mixed up the minions a lot, cut out all those 1/4s and 2/4s and just tried to bump up what we had. The big add for the spellbook in terms of cost was 2 Atlas Wanderers. I really like these. I like the sight movement. I think that that's useful in this type of deck. So Atlas Wanderers was kind of where we spent a lot of the money on the spellbook side, which it wasn't even a lot, think they were like 75 cents or something a piece. But you can understand what kind of money we're talking about that we're having to limit ourselves to because of how much we're going to be putting over there in that Atlas side. In addition to that, in terms of the magic, we really played around with that. Went up to 3 Divine Healings. The Earth Precon has no common sense. Added 3 common sense into the deck. Dropped in a Dispel because it didn't have Dispel. And then the other big spend card that we added was a second Craterize. So Craterize is going to be one of the key ways you're going to get your opponents to death door or deal that death blow. So having 2 in the deck, very important in my opinion. So that is where we're at with that spell book. Again, looking at consistency, minions that we can get regularly like Boss Troll, which we added 4 of. Solid minion, 2 for 3 power. Very solid staple that's been used in a lot of decks and is still being used in a lot of decks. So that's where we went with this. Did not spend a whole lot of money on the spellbook side. Take a look at the full deck list. You can see it, see what it looks like. And then we're going to move on to the Atlas, where we spent all the money. So let's spend all the money in that Atlas. We're going to add 4 cards right off the bat. Roots of Yggdrasil. We're going to add another Sinkhole to bring us up to 2. And then we're going to add 2 Crossroads. These 4 cards alone are $10 of our $25 budget. So when I told you that we were really going to spend most of our budget in the Atlas, I was not joking at all. In addition to those 4 important cards, we're going to up Bedrock to 3 copies. Any Roots deck needs to play 3 copies of Bedrock, especially now that we've got a 30-card Atlas. In addition, a couple of copies of Holy Ground to bring us up to 3. And I took a good hard look at the Earth sites that were added in Arthurian Legends. Pebbled Paths, 3 copies. Dropped them in. Seems like a good way to limit aggro so that hopefully the deck can get to where it's churning to build up to some of those big plays like Craterize or the Atlas Wanderers in the spellbook. In addition, I dropped in 3 Impenetrable Cops. We're not really using any projectiles, so let's just protect ourselves from projectiles and not even worry about the fact that that card is going to hurt us, because it's not. There's not a single projectile in this deck, so we can block our enemies' projectiles and protect ourselves while we try to do what we want to do. But still, when we add all these cards in, all the things that we're adding, it's a lot of money. That is where all your money is going to be tied up. But this is how we make this deck function. Again, the Earth Precon, just because of the change to 30 cards in the Atlas, really made the Roots less reliable. But I still think, look, it's going to work sometimes. You're going to get that Crossroads. You're going to get the Roots. You're going to be able to Sinkhole. Those things are going to go off. They're going to happen. And heck, if you get real desperate, you could even potentially Craterize your own Roots if you absolutely needed to. So there are options. There are ways to do it. And I feel that dropping this amount of money into the Atlas is the best way to upgrade this deck into something that is more consistent, that can get some wins on a decent basis. So there you have it. We've upgraded the Earth pre-constructed deck with $25 and built a watered-down version of Geomancer Roots. Now, if you like this deck, and again, if you do, you can see this full deck using the link in the description below. There are ways to make it even better. And even though you will never reach the glory days of Geomancer Roots when we had 40-20, you can still get to a place where this deck is even better than the one we put together here. The cards that I would recommend adding, if you can, immediately, would be 2 Earthquakes. 2 Earthquakes in this deck make it a much more dangerous opponent. Fortunately, because of the price of those cards, we could not fit them into our $25 budget. In addition to that, another good card would be the Orb of Baal Bareth. I'm probably saying that wrong, but you all know what I mean when I say the orb. The orb that duplicates a magic spell when it is cast. That card is also very useful in this deck. In addition, if you wanted to spend even more money on that Atlas, you could also look at adding a Mirror Realm or adding the Pillar of Zeros. Those two cards, though, are well outside of this $25 budget, so they've been left off. But if you like this, those are the cards I recommend definitely taking a look at. There are definitely some other cards that I looked at, that I considered. You can tweak this quite a bit and go different ways, but this is the deck for this Earth Precon that I feel within the constraints of our budget is the best we can do. You might be able to switch out some small things, some minions, and do better. I'm not the best player in the world. We all know that. But that concludes the budget upgrade for the Earth Precon. As always, keep on contesting the realm!